Today we're going to be talking about a bunch of hidden gem VR games, and that includes things like stuff that just went completely under the radar and people just never really played or even talked about, to games that just did bad when they very first came out, then have been fixed and again never been spoken about again, or even games that have been incredibly popular but again just forgotten to time. So I'm going to be highlighting a bunch of these for you today. I feel like this is a pretty solid list this time round. I've done a couple of these videos before, you guys have always enjoyed them, so if you do enjoy this, please do consider smashing that like button and subscribing, because it does make a massive difference to the channel and I'd appreciate it quite a bit. Now let's dive into our very first game on the list. First up we have The Burst, and this one is criminally overlooked. The Burst is one of those sort of gritty, almost cyberpunky feeling mixed with kinetic combat. It's a really interesting game, but it had kind of a rough launch where it wasn't exactly great when it very first came out, but it got fixed pretty damn quickly, but the reputation of it never quite did. Now the VR crowd loves this kind of mechanics because it's fluid, it's pretty polished as a game goes, so I definitely recommend that if you gave this a pass a long time ago, maybe this is the time to sort of pick this one up and get into it. Now the story is nothing groundbreaking, but the combat inside of it does feel good, the guns feel good, and it's kind of got like this parkour Spider-Man-esque type vibe going on in it as well. Next up we have Medal of Honor Above and Beyond. Now this is an interesting one. When the Medal of Honor VR very first dropped, it had all the hype in the world from EA, Respawn, and of course just huge fans of the franchise. And then it kind of fizzled. People kind of dismissed it as clunky, a little bit too ambitious for the time. But if you go back now, there's some really genuinely great content inside of this game. The campaign is pretty lengthy. The set pieces in this game are pretty damn cinematic. There's some incredible moments that you'll go through inside of this. While it's not perfect, it had a really big budget, especially for a VR shooter, especially back then. So, you know, not very often does something like this get made, and if you missed it, it's worth revisiting, especially if you're craving something that's a bit more traditional single player shooter. Next up we have Dead Hook. This is one that kind of came around without much noise, but it does deserve a lot more attention. Now Joyway do tend to sort of make a lot of games, and they are very similar games, so I feel like they get a bad rep before they've even had a chance to be tried. But in Dead Hook's case, this is a roguelike shooter, which is fast paced, got really cool swinging mechanics, and it kind of feels like a mixture between Doom Eternal and Spider-Man. You're going to be zipping around the arenas, you're going to be gunning down demons, and you're going to be constantly upgrading to survive. It's tough, but that's kind of part of the fun, and it just scratches that itch if you're looking for something with that sort of momentum but a bit of like Doom feeling to it. Like I say, this one just got kind of overlooked because I think a lot of people were just like, another Joyway project, except for this one. It's pretty damn good, so I reckon you should give it a go. Next up we have Silent Slayer Vault of the Vampire. This is one of the more unique games on this list. It's a horror puzzle hybrid. Now that sounds random when you say it out loud, but it's kind of what it is. The idea behind this is you're going to be sneaking into crypts, dismantling traps, and trying not to wake up a very, very angry vampire who is sleeping just feet away. The tension in this game is unreal, as you're literally holding your breath to be able to pull out the nail or unlock a clasp, and there's no combat in this game or anything like that. It's all about just that tension that you'll be building up in an atmospheric, really cool environment that is just differently nerve-wracking than any other kind of VR horror game that you've probably played before. Next up we have Bulletstorm VR. Now okay, I know a bunch of you are probably going to scream at me for putting this in this, but just hear me out on this one. Bulletstorm VR definitely had a very, very rocky launch, and even in myself, I told people not to buy this game when it very first came out. It was bloody awful, they had not optimized it, and they really had kind of missed the mark on a bunch of things. But credit where credit is due, they really did work on this game, and they have released a ton of patches addressing all of the problems that people really truly had with this game, and now I really feel like this does fall in line with games that are good and worthwhile playing. The flat version of this game was beloved by a ton of people for its over-top action, its crazy combo system, but the VR, you know, it just didn't hit that same popularity as what that did. I think due to the fact that the audience is just a bit younger and probably unaware of what even Bulletstorm VR is. That said, the update has improved it massively, and you can now look at some of the stuff that had rough edges and realize they've actually smoothed it out. It's still something really fun here, and the whole kill shot system, blasting enemies into spikes, and well, just kind of juggling them in the air whilst kicking them into explosive traps, just works surprisingly well in VR. It's chaotic, it's dumb, it's fun, and sometimes that's exactly what you want. So I actually say, if you haven't played this before, it's worth picking up for a bit of fun. It's got a decent-ish story and it's decently long. Next up we have Crashland. Now this is one that I personally had a lot of problems with when it very first came out, and that was just purely because Crashland is brutally difficult. It's almost unfair at times, and it's incredibly rewarding when you actually get something right and you start surviving in this. You're stranded on an alien planet just trying to survive against waves of terrifying creatures. The gameplay loop is very tight. You're going to craft, survive, repeat. That's essentially the whole premise of this game, and because of that there is absolutely no hand-holding, and I mean no hand-holding. Every victory feels like it's been earned, which is a really nice rewarding thing to get inside of a VR game these days. It kind of flew completely under the radar from most VR players, I would say, but if you like survival shooters and a ridiculously good challenge, then this is definitely a hidden gem for you. I will say, me personally, I hated this when I very first picked it up and played it, but it's one of those games I picked back up about a year later and I was like, this isn't actually that bad. You know, once you get your head around the fact that there is like no tutorial in this situation, it's a good game. Next up we have Pixel Ripped, and this is two games here, 1989 and both 1995. Now both of these games are incredible games. Now don't get me wrong, a few of you are probably sitting out there thinking, well, these games did pretty well. Well, the first game certainly did incredibly well a long time ago, but again, it's one of those games that's just kind of grown dust at this point, and not a lot of people speak about it. It's not recommended very often, and it's one I think people should still be playing if you're new to VR. This is quite an experience, or if this just somehow slipped under the radar. Now this is all about pure nostalgia inside of VR. If you grew up in 80s or 90s, or if you're reminiscent of those periods, then this is instantly just going to connect with you. In Pixel Ripped, it's all about this retro style gaming and then going inside of the retro games. Very cool concept and executed incredibly well. This is just going to capture that feeling of being a kid again, sneaking into a game session. It's a really charming game. I love it to pieces personally, and like I say, I put it on this list just purely because if there's some of you that haven't played these games yet, I highly recommend them. They've got a good length to both of them, and this is a back-to-back awesomeness that you could play in your headset as of right now. Next up we have Epyka. Now again, this is one of those ones that came out and just flew right under the radar. This is definitely a hidden gem when it comes to gems, and Epyka is an adventure puzzler that feels like a cross between Myst and Saturday morning cartoons. The environments are colourful, almost whimsical, and the puzzles can really make you think. It's relaxing but engaging, and at the same time kind of a nice break from your usual shooters, horrors, or any other things that dominate VR. This is the kind of game that's just perfect if you want to chill, explore, and solve stuff at your own pace. Plus, you get a cool dog that joins you along the journey. It's not the longest game, but honestly it's really enjoyable just from start to finish. Next up we have Clone Drone in the Danger Zone. Now this is such an epic game in flat. I love this game to pieces, and it's been brought now of course to VR, and I think they did an absolutely fantastic job of this. It's a robotic gladiator arena where you are going to be constantly fighting for survival against waves of increasingly ridiculous enemies. The voxel art style may look simple, but don't be fooled, this game actually has quite a lot of depth, humour, and most of all, it's ridiculously fun melee combat in VR. Plus, the community driven content in this and mods and stuff like that give it a ton of replayability, and this is just a great example of a good game. Again, not marketed very well, and just kind of flew under the radar, expecting to sort of ride on its coattails of it being a very popular flat game, but they seem to forget that the VR audience is a very different audience to traditional flat gaming. So this one is one that missed a lot of people. If you're looking for this type of thing, definitely recommend. Next up we have Sweet Surrender. This again is another one that just doesn't get spoken about enough in my opinion. This is an incredible roguelike shooter with a very distinct art style and flow. It's fast, stylish, and really easy to get addicted to. It's kind of one of those easy to get into and hard to master type games, so it just has an addictive play loop that's going to keep you locked in and wanting to come back for more. You're going to be running through procedurally generated levels, blasting at enemies and grabbing upgrades. This never really got the attention like some of the other big VR shooters and roguelites, but if you're a roguelite fan, this one really just has a ton of sort of replayability to it once again, and just another one of those dope games that I feel like more and more people should be playing. Well, there you have it guys and girls, that is the end of this video. If you want to see another one just like this, then let me know in the comments down below suggestions of your hidden gems, and maybe I could put together a video where I sort of talk about all of the ones that you guys and girls have shared. If you enjoyed this, please do consider smashing that like button. It does bloody help these videos, and of course if you've been watching these for a while and you're not subscribed, well, make today the day that you actually do hit subscribe, because I'd appreciate that. Other than that though guys, take care, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.